Oh, believe me, people, I heard all the rumors, all the legends, all the tall tales about this thing, and after finally watching it myself, those stories don't do this show justice as to how god-awfully insane it is! Imagine if someone took the concepts of Kids Incorporated, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and who knows how many other shows out there, mashed them all into a Dagwood sandwich, and said, yeah, this is the perfect thing to start our company with! Originally pitched under the title of Hot Rocks, Kid Video was the very first television show that Haim Saban and Shuki Levy made under their own company and in cooperation with Jean Chalopin and Andy Hayward's Deke. Yes, people, if you ever need motivation to keep on trying after your first passion project turned out to be a disaster, you take a look at this and understand that Saban kept going on for nearly 10 years until they hit the jackpot with Power Rangers. You really think I'm exaggerating with all of this? Well, you all make sure your crazy pill prescriptions have been refilled, as it's finally time to see the absolute lunacy of Kid Video. So we start off with maybe the worst exposition-laden intro for a cartoon I've ever seen, and you all know that's something I wouldn't say lightly. It looks like there are these teenagers that have a band together, and they all get pulled through Alice's mirror into this cartoon world by the Kingpin's wannabe younger brother, who wants to make them his musical slaves, but then they get rescued by Sprite here.
What's going on here?
I'll explain later. Let's go!
Sorry, people, the cabin doors have been shut and we are cleared for takeoff. There's no getting out of this now! So here's the plot of the first episode. The kids and their fairy guide named Glitter are heading in their magic train car to some place called Neon City, where everyone there is a teenager like them. Only the drummer of the group wants to go back home instead. Oh great, we've got an Eric in this group. I guess the complainer is always wrong hadn't died as a trope by 1984.
Wow, did you see that? I didn't even know it was there.
I wish I hadn't. We're less than 2 minutes in here! It's also established that Glitter temporarily gains super strength whenever she sneezes. Good night, it's like someone said challenge accepted after seeing how stupid Fangface's powers were! At any rate, the kids discover that all the citizens of Neon City, who yes, all look like paper cutout dolls, are being rapidly aged due to the powers of our main villain, the one who brought the kids into this world, the Master Blaster! And no, he can't be named after the Mad Max character, because that guy did not appear until the third Mad Max movie, which came out a year after this cartoon premiered. If anything, they stole the name from a Stevie Wonder song from 1980. Which is far more plausible once you see what this show is really all about.
It's called The Beat of the City.
Electric Avenue. And then the stage is higher.
Electric Avenue isn't far from here.
And the second part of that song said to take it higher, whatever that means.
Okay, 1, how in the hell does this other world know about our rock music on Earth? And 2, I will remind you all that Eddie Grant released Electric Avenue 2 years before this cartoon premiered, yet these kids act like they've never heard the song before!
We've got to pop that bubble.
You'll never be able to do that. They're mine forever.
maybe tougher than I thought.
Gee, maybe you should have tried something sharp instead of blunt! So, this is pretty much the premise of the show. Every episode has the band traveling in their Kidmobile to some new location in this crazy world called the Flip Side, where everyone is a big fan of their music. So, how freaking long have they been in this place if they have already amassed a fan base that would rival Taylor Swift? Jeez, and I thought LeBlanc instantly becoming a superstar after stealing Yuna's identity in Final Fantasy X2 made no sense. It's the standard setup of so many adventure cartoons of the time, with the also too standard practice of animation and voice acting that put out little to no effort. And if that was it, this thing might just be lumped in with so many of those other cartoons. But what puts this thing over the top is how blatantly it tries to be all hip by appealing to the MTV crowd in the most ham-fisted way possible. So the Master Blaster's plan is to try and take over the Flip Side with his own band called the Copycats, who, yes, look like some sort of combined ripoff of the Stray Cats band and the Heathcliff Cadillac Cats, made into a group of evil minions, by using them to perform covers of pop rock songs that sound just like the originals. Please note that this came out 6 years before the Milli Vanilli scandal. It's beyond clear what this show's less than subtle message is supposed to be about. The Master Blaster represents every single big corporate music company ever made, and their attempts to silence independent music bands or lure them into binding contracts where they can then force the bands into playing soulless corporate music. And the title characters represent people who actually love music fighting back. Why, yes, that does sound a lot like what Hasbro put together a year later to make Jem and the Holograms. How smart of you to notice! And yes, even freaking Jem, for all of its flaws, ended up making that concept better. You can make all the jokes you want about the music of Jem, but at least the original songs they created were integrated into the actual plot of each episode. Kid Video does have original songs that were performed by the actual real-life versions of the main cartoon characters, but all of them are only shown after the conclusion of each episode in some type of music video form. Meanwhile, actual pop songs of the time are frequently shoehorned into each actual episode. About the only original song we get in any episode story is that god-awful opening theme song.
It's giving me rockin', it's getting me moving, from my video to my radio.
Though for what it's worth, the other songs aren't any better.
Come back to me, baby, come back to me, baby, come back to me, baby, come back to me.
Make it stop!
I mean, say what you will about Kids Incorporated, and I know there are some out there who can't stand that show, but at least they brought energy to their performances. And they were just doing cover songs themselves! When you can find better music now being created today and uploaded to the band's own YouTube channel, it makes you ask why these creators even tried. It's actually pretty amazing to see how many other animated shows came out in the following years that clearly took concepts from Kid Video and made them less awful. Captain N the Game Master, which came out 5 years later, is infamously known for being one of the stupidest, most nonsensical cartoons ever made, especially since it was clearly meant to shill other media. And having watched that show when it first came out, I completely agree. I had friends and family that looked at that show and saw how bad it was. Kid Video is far, far more incoherent than Captain N! At least Captain N tried to take the video game characters that were popular at the time and put them in situations that made some type of sense. In fact, what probably turned off most people to the show was how ugly the animators made most of those characters look. But at least by using popular video game characters and having Nintendo's backing, the show had the opportunity to promote itself to its target audience. I don't know who the creators of Kid Video thought their target audience was! It tries to create a wild fantasy setting that could be attractive to an elementary school age audience that most Saturday morning lineups were marketing to, but then it has to shoehorn in songs that were very likely followed by teenagers at the time. Imagine if Saban and Levy created Power Rangers and decided the most important aspect of the show would be shilling Nirvana. And do you want to know the real kick in the pants? This show did not just up and die quickly. It got 2 original seasons on NBC's Saturday morning block for 1984 and 85. It remained on that network in reruns for 1986, then was acquired by CBS to air the same reruns in 1987. Until the winter of that year, when they replaced it with reruns of Galaxy High. When you get replaced by Galaxy High, and that's the less crazy show, that's all you need to know, people! If this show's intent was to be about fighting back against corporate vanilla-paced entertainment, it just may be the biggest failure ever, because it turned out to be the epitome of what corporate entertainment coughs up. Cheap animation quality, lazy writing, bad acting, forcing in generic popular media, and doing everything with no drive, motivation, or energy at all. Consider how many Deke Saban cartoons I've already reviewed on this show. Camp Candy, The New Archies, The Karate Kid, The Power Team, Little Shop, Laser Tag Academy, Bad Dog! And then realize this came before every one of those and is worse than all of them! Frack, there are still other shows in their library I could still review, and I don't know if I even can now, just because I don't know how any of them can come off as bad as this! Ugh, having to end the spring season on some god-awful garbage like that just makes me wish I could dig up something good! And that's exactly what we're going to do. This summer, people, it's treasure hunting time!